In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, Rotten Tomatoes editor Jacqueline Coley returns, and we talk all about summer movie season 2026. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Net. Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and this is the show where if summer movie season has taught us anything, it's that no matter how many new ideas somebody has, we're still going to get a reboot of something from 1987. I'm Kyle McMahon, and I am genuinely excited for this episode because I love talking movies with people who actually love movies. That's why you and I get along so well. Not people pretending to love movies for engagement or whose entire personality is hating things online, and certainly not people who act like joy is illegal. Actual movie lovers. And that's absolutely what Jacqueline Coley is. This summer movie season is like absolutely unhinged. We've got legacy sequels, at least 3 films that are being called the next Top Gun Maverick, and enough popcorn bucket discourse to qualify as a national emergency. So naturally, I had to bring in reinforcements and bring Jacqueline. She, of course, has been on the show before. She's with Rotten Tomatoes and the Scene on the Screen podcast, which is awesome. So if you've missed any of the episodes she's been on Pop Culture Weekly, she's like one of the smartest and most entertaining voices covering film and television. And her podcast, Scene on the Screen, dives into movies, culture, representation, filmmaking, and the bigger conversations around entertainment in a way that's really thoughtful and fun. I just love her. So, and I love this time of year because, you know, we're looking ahead at the summer movie season, the hits, the risks, the why does this actually look amazing movies. And this year feels really interesting because the industry is still in this weird transitional phase where audiences are becoming way more selective about what they leave the house for, but we're also getting some really major, highly anticipated films this summer. Before we jump in, make sure you're subscribed to Pop Culture Weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And please sign up for the newsletter over at popcultureweekly.com. Every week I send out, what's going on. I have the latest episode of the show, videos, deep dives, all that stuff. And you can find me pretty much anywhere at Real Kyle McMahon. So, all right, let's jump into summer movies with Jacqueline Coley. One of the reasons I wanted Jacqueline on specifically for this episode is because she has such a balanced perspective on film. I can be a little bit dramatic. Jacqueline is where I'm like your insane movie-loving, pop culture-loving friend. Jacqueline is like your smart, nuanced, movie-loving, pop culture-loving friend. She understands the industry side, the audience side, the critical side, but she also approaches movies like she's a fan, because she is. So, in this conversation, Jacqueline and I are going to get into the movies we think are poised to explode this summer, as well as the ones we're skeptical about, some of the trends shaping this summer, and what do people actually want in summer 2026. So here is my conversation with the amazing Jacqueline Coley. Once again, I am joined by, I love her, the amazing Jacqueline Coley, editor at Rotten Tomatoes and host of the Scene on the Screen podcast. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Kyle. It's great to be here.
I love having you. We have so many of the same thoughts on so many titles. So I'm excited to talk to you about summer 2026. What's like your general kind of vibe for the lineup?
I mean, there's going to be a lot of Zendaya. She's got and Robert Pattinson. She's got The Odyssey. She's got Spider-Man. And then later in the year, they have Dune. But I don't know. I just feel like those two are having a really great 2026.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, just high level quickly, what do you think is going to be the talk of the summer?
Ooh, that's going to be interesting because what's going to be interesting is we've already had a pretty big moment with Devil Wears Prada, which is already like sort of like the unofficial kickoff of summer movie season. But I think what's going to be more interesting is we have a bunch of very big animated movies that are probably going to dominate even higher than what we expect with some of these bigger titles like Disclosure Day or The Odyssey or Supergirl or any of these other sort of like big titles this summer. So like I just think like Minions and Toy Story 2 may be the actual word of the summer more so than The Odyssey, but they're all going to be incredible movies that a lot of folks are talking about.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm thinking like between Spider-Man, The Odyssey, and Toy Story 5 are my kind of three things. And I'm not sure which one is going to beat out which one, or if I'll be shocked and it'll be something else, like Minions 2 or whatever. So yeah, I'm really curious to see like what how the summer's going to go. And I feel like we have a lot of good stuff coming this summer. Like it's an exciting lineup.
It is. It definitely is.
What are you thinking in regards to like how 2026 plays out versus the last few years, post COVID?
I mean, I thought last year we were going to get to a point where we actually got closer and maybe got into double digits because I believe if this is correct, we still haven't gone to double digits since the pandemic. Like we've gotten to about eight, and I think last year it was expected to go to nine, but it didn't. So this year and again, this is not just summer, this is a whole year. You have a new Marvel Endgame movie where they brought back like everybody. You have already a good year with like things like Super Mario and Devil Wears Prada. And then on top of that, you have, like you said, like the Odyssey, the Spider-Man, the animated movies. And then there may be something that just randomly hits and we have another Sinners or Weapons type moment. Like this new movie that's coming out, Obsession, that
Yes.
is like somewhat new. And like, I don't know how big that goes, but there's a chance that that movie in this sort of like twisted romance type way ends up being a much bigger thing right now in the summer movie window. So I'm interested to see. Actually, on Scene on the Screen, we interviewed the director Curry Barker of that film, and he like started in short films, but he's already filmed his next movie and he's on to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And so this is a guy that hasn't even put his first major studio movie in theaters and he's already technically working on his third. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, I've heard a lot of buzz about Obsession, like more so than I feel like normal compared to kind of like, quieter sort of movies. Like I'm hearing a lot of buzz about this, people talking about it, excited about it. So, I'm kind of in the same boat as you where I'm like, this could be one of those surprise kind of bops.
Oh, and I didn't even mention it, but we also have Masters of the Universe. Like people love
Oh yeah.
He-Man. And we also have, I mean, I think I mentioned it at the top, but like Disclosure Day, we have a new Steven Spielberg Aliens movie, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that'll be very interested in that.
Yeah. What are you personally kind of thinking, or I'm sorry, what are you personally kind of looking forward to for like the big or small summer films?
I guess personally, I'm very much looking forward to now Nolan's The Odyssey. It's not just The Odyssey, it's Nolan's The Odyssey. Looking forward to that. Also looking forward to Disclosure Day, just
Yeah.
because I figure when Mr. Spielberg decides to say something about something, it's usually because he feels confidently. And that man believes in aliens. He believes
Hmm.
in aliens the way James Cameron believes in diving to the bottom of
Yes.
the ocean. Like it's so I'm as an artist, I'm interested to see an artist talk about his obsession. It's sort of like when Guillermo del Toro makes movies about monsters. It's like, well, this is his bag.
Yeah.
So like let's see what they do with their bag. So I'm very excited for I think both of those. But there's a ton of things that are coming out. There's a new exciting like indie movie called Is God Is
Yes.
that stars Vivica Fox and I believe Janelle Monáe is also in that one and produced by Tessa Thompson. And like I'm excited about that. So I'm excited to be surprised. How about that? I'm on my way actually to the Cannes Film Festival, and there's a lot of movies that are going to be coming out this summer that will premiere there, and I'm excited for them. I mean, the guy that directed Train to Busan, he has a new movie, Colony. I'm excited for that
I haven't
one.
heard
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. No, and then Train to Busan is having its 10th anniversary this summer.
which is crazy.
Hmm.
And I love that film. And there was what, one or two follow-ups to it too. Does this one have anything to do with that kind of world, do you know?
I don't think so. But I haven't, I mean, I literally just wrote on it. It doesn't feel like it's in the same world, but he is working with some people that he had worked on in that film. I
Hmm.
mean, um, Gong Yu, who was also in Squid Game, he sort of like broke out to American audiences with his performance in Train to Busan. He plays the salesman in Squid Game.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that. I didn't know he was coming out with the new one, so now that's going to be
Hmm.
on my radar. I
Hmm.
I feel like we're getting like a lot of anticipated giant films, Masters of the Universe, a new Marvel Studio film, a new Spider-Man MCU film, a Nolan film. Like I don't know, I have super high hopes for this year like I haven't in a few years. Like, I mean, of course, I've been wrong twice in my life, so this could be the third time, but but I feel like, I don't know. I just feel really excited about this year, like in a big way for the industry, for film lovers, like for genre lovers. Like I feel like there's a lot of great stuff that's going to be coming, and I'm really hoping for like a big breakout year again.
Yeah, and I didn't mention this, but Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Fandango, so technically I work for a ticket company. And another big thing that we get insights on there is the re-release schedule. Like Top Gun is having like another re-release moment over the summer where they're going to be bringing back Maverick Top Gun as well as the original Top Gun. And it doesn't hurt that they also just announced that they're in production for Top Gun 3. And so I mentioned Train to Busan. There will also be screenings of that for its 10th anniversary. And so
Mm.
there's a lot of these movies that were that had a moment, you know what I mean, way back when, and now they're coming back into theaters. Amores Perros is also having a re-release, and they're also, I believe, doing a screening here at Cannes for it as well.
Remind me what, or tell me about that. I feel like I fell asleep for that or
Yes,
something.
no, Moros Perros. So this is Iñárritu's film. Yeah, Alejandro Iñárritu, who obviously has Digger coming out this fall. He directed Birdman and The Revenant. Moros Perros is one of his very first films, and it is
Oh,
basically a love letter and also a tragic tale about dog ownership and a whole bunch of other different things. But it is having a re-release, and I believe also probably usually when they do these re-releases, they also update it for 4K so that
yes.
the DVD sales, although that hasn't been announced yet, that's usually how this goes. And I love that filmmakers can have these moments. I mean, also this year is the 25th anniversary of Fast and Furious, and they're also getting ready to gear up for a lot of re-release stuff around that one.
That's interesting. And first of all, thank you for telling me about Amores Perros.
Amores Perros, yeah. It's an
Uh,
old one. I think this is like 2007. Like
yeah,
it's a
no, I mean, I'm like,
2001, girl.
is it
2001. Yeah.
2001?
2001. Yeah.
I'm always looking for great stuff, and I don't know how that like ever just slipped under my radar. But the thing that to your point, with ticketing and Fandango movie theaters, like I love how they are starting, they have been in the past, I guess really since COVID, but I feel like in the last year it's been happening more and more with bringing re-releases back. Like I've gotten to see so many cool movies that I never got to see on screen, from when I was a kid or even before I was born, to movies that I did see on the big screen and now I'm like, I want to go again. Like I've gotten to see so many films that on the big screen that like is so cool. I saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest a couple of months
Mhm.
back, and like how cool is that we can go and see something, and I have a nice home theater, but like it doesn't compare to a 60-foot, 80-foot, whatever, giant screen with the communal thing. I
Yeah,
love that studios are doing that. And then I also love that it normally means we're getting a, updated physical release too. So,
definitely.
Labyrinth. You know Labyrinth.
Definitely.
So that was, I think it's this week that it's being re-released in theaters.
Nice.
And like I'm like I could never have seen that in the theater. Now I can. So I'm like so stoked. And I'm hoping to go see it this weekend. But anyway, we're going to pause for a second to pay the bills. We'll be back in 60 seconds. All right. Thank you for supporting our sponsors who help us bring the show. Let's jump right back into it. All right, Jacqueline. For summer 2026, what do you think like now? Are things going to come at us fast and furiously with these big titles? Or is there any, lag that you see? I know often in August, it's typically a slower month often. Do you see that this year?
No, actually, it's interesting too. Like we've talked already about a lot of the films, but we haven't even dived deep into ones that we've kind of like brushed off. Like I didn't even forget to mention this. Moana is this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Moana is this summer. In addition to that, we have a new Jackass movie. And in addition to that, we have, I think, movies that are not necessarily going to do $1 billion, but have huge fan bases like Scary Movie.
Mm.
So it's like, I don't really see you having a week where you can kind of fall off. When you get into August, for example, to your point, when things do feel like they fall off, that's where we get Super Troopers 3. Again, huge fan base on that
Yes.
movie. This one is a little bit of a viral moment. Remember that viral ad they had for the Ice Cream Man, a horror movie around the
Yes.
Ice Cream Man? That film is also going to be hitting theaters in August, along with another Paw Patrol movie. You and I don't care about it, but there is a group of people from Gen Alpha to early Gen Z, or sorry, to late Gen Z that are going to be obsessed with that, absolutely obsessed with that. And then we kind of end the month with another Insidious movie. Again, huge fan bases. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of even when you think, oh yeah, this might be the one where things sort of fall off, it really kind of keeps going all the way through the year. And even I would say, like, I don't know what this movie is going to be, but they're making another cliffhanger movie. And I dug the first cliffhanger a lot with Sylvester Stallone
Yeah.
and John Lithgow. And so I think if they just somewhat capture a little bit of the campy fun vibes of that movie, I think it'll be a whole another moment. Yeah, I think it's sort of like the summer box office season is nicheifying a bit, if I'm really being honest. There seems to be clearly some four quadrant things, but then there's also things that are going to do extremely well, despite the fact that a lot of people aren't going to care that much about them. I'm talking about something like Paw Patrol or Super Troopers or Scary Movie. For some people, that is going to be the biggest movie of the summer, and for other folks, they're not even going to pay attention. And there's even a movie coming out called The Backrooms,
Yes.
which this
I
is
cannot
very
wait for this.
exactly. This is very similar to that movie that came out earlier this year, Iron Lung. Is it Iron Lung, the Markiplier movie?
Yes.
It's like that. So this started as an internet thing. Now they're having their big box office moment. And so that's probably going to do huge numbers that weekend and have a huge part of that audience obsessed with it. It has nothing to do with what you consider traditional distribution
Yeah.
or a traditional type of movie making. I mean, it's independent. I really like say that there's tons of movies that have done this prior, but Five Nights at Freddy's in our post-COVID world really sort of showed what this sort of internet synergy can do with box office moments. And
Yeah.
then, Taylor Swift and a couple of other people doing direct distribution showed that there was money to be had in that. And now we're seeing like an entire new part of the movie making industry happening because of that.
Which, is interesting that you say that because that's really how so much of our, you know, entertainment or media consuming or consumption happens now anyway, where it's like, you and I may be on the same wavelength on some of the titles that we catch on Netflix or Apple Plus or whatever. But then I have friends, so I'm like, oh, did you see that new Netflix movie? And they're like, what? Like, I've never even heard of that. And I'm like, oh, it's just debuted on Netflix on Friday. And they're like, what? Like, so much of how we consume today is so niche that
Mm.
that it's interesting. You bring a great point up that like it's starting to translate into the theaters too, rather than just being in our own streaming bubble and our own social bubble. And now it's like, You make such a great point about that.
Hmm.
What are you thinking? What do you think that could be disappointing for this
Disappointing.
summer? In terms of box office, like I'm already hearing, some backlash about Supergirl, and I'm like, is this going to turn into a thing where people are going to be, like they did with Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
and of course, Captain Marvel ended up being a $1 billion plus movie. Um, do you foresee any kind of those brigading disappointments this summer?
I mean, if I knew that, I would probably have a different job.
Great point.
I would be making a lot of money being able to be predictive of that. I can't tell you a title, but one thing I have noticed, especially more recently, as we talk about how these audiences are nicheifying and maybe that there's not as much of what you would consider four quadrant titles outside of like family films and like a few blockbusters. But one thing I will say is if there is disappointment, usually it's not going to be with an original story unless it's like maybe a filmmaker who's known for it. Like Christopher Nolan is IP, so he can disappoint his audience. Most of these people don't have that level of attachment with the audience, so they can't really disappoint. But whatever film maybe ends up disappointing, I guarantee you it's because whatever audience was hyped for it, the people making it did not pay enough attention as to what would keep those people hyped for it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't
Yes.
know what the name of the movie will be, but I guarantee you it will be one that ignores aspects of what makes the film great to whoever will be disappointed by it. And I think those, because I know the positive of that. We've seen that with like James Gunn is a huge Superman fan, made a Superman movie with those fans in mind, and then people flocked to it and became obsessed with it. Earlier this year, they made a Super Mario Brothers movie that Super Mario Brothers fans are complete and Nintendo fans are completely obsessed with, and they loved it, and it clearly was successful. So I don't know about which one's going to be on the other side of it, but I know the ones that do it right, that they have that. And so if you're not doing that, I know it's not going to go well.
Yeah, and going backwards on what you've said, Megan 2.0 or whatever it was called did exactly what you're saying, where, Megan 1 was this giant kind of surprise hit, and the fans of it, including me, loved it. And then they released Megan 2.0, and it was like, this isn't even like tangentially related to the first one. Like where the first one was this kind of horror thriller sci-fi thing. This was uh like a comedy sci-fi. It was like really a bizarre turn, and Jason Blum ended up talking about that. Like we went way off of what our audience expected for this, and then the ones that did show up were like, "What is this?" And they kind of made
Mhm.
that too far of a turn. Uh, Personally, for you, as a audience member. What are you most looking forward to this year?
Um, so like I said, Christopher Nolan for sure. Definitely
Hmm.
looking forward to him. Looking forward to Steven Spielberg. I guess if I was gonna go later into the year and maybe like get to the fall, let me
Mm.
think about it. Because there's a few movies we haven't talked about that are just a little bit further out. Oh, Practical Magic 2. I'm very excited
Oh,
for Practical Magic 2. I was a huge fan of the first Practical Magic. For those that don't know, Alan Silvestri, I believe, does the score for it, and it's amazing. It's
and
absolutely amazing.
is that fall?
Yes, that one is September. So that one's outside of like ours because I
Yeah,
think I've
yeah.
talked about most of the ones for that one. Oh, here, there's a movie coming out at the end of August, Coyote versus Acme.
Yes.
And this one I think is really great because it was a movie that, again, I work for a ticket company and we really believe that the best way to see movies is an immersive environment with strangers in a dark room with a popcorn, wherever you want to sit, right? this is a movie that's now going to have a huge theatrical moment that wasn't. And I think that is like a huge win for the industry, is that this movie was maybe going to go away. And now fans of Looney Tunes and fans of fans of animation will have this moment and they'll be able to, yeah, like live in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is an amazing story behind that movie, and I'm like so rooting for its success. Any final thoughts on the summer of 2026?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's been such a packed one. We didn't even mention Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Another reversal from previous things. Like, I think it's cool too, again, just continuing to tout the box office viewing experience, but this was a television show that had such a great fan base. It, along with the new Tom Clancy Jack Ryan movie, are both going to get box office theatrical moments because they were really popular as films. I think Prime Video is the one that has the Jack Ryan, but they are
Yeah.
also releasing it in like select theaters. So like, yeah, I just think that that's kind of really cool.
Yeah, I also think, for me, I would say the success of Devil Wears Prada 2 is hopefully a reminder to the industry that women-led and women of a certain age led films have just as big an audience as ever. And I think that audience is hungry for more great films like that. And I think Devil Wears Prada 2 proves that, kind of kicking off the summer.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So I hope that Hollywood keeps that in mind as they continue going forward, because I feel like, women and women of a certain age and women of color, especially, have, are often underserved in the stories that are told on the big screen, and I think just yet again that the success of that film shows that you got to keep serving, and that audience is there and waiting. So
Dig it. I
where
agree.
where can we find you and follow all your things
Well,
besides the Scene on the Screen podcast?
yes, I was going to say bi-weekly episodes of Seen on the Screen, but you can find me at rottentomatoes.com and you can follow me anywhere at that Jacqueline. That's it.
Awesome. Jacqueline, as always, thank you. It is always a pleasure. And please come on again and we'll talk all things film and movies.
Thanks for having me, Kyle.
Of course. Jacqueline Coley. Isn't she amazing? I love her. I love when she comes on the show. She's always got such smart, thoughtful insight. Basically the opposite of me. I'm just like, oh my God, I want to say that. I love that. She's like, here is why this is going to be successful or whatever. Anyway, before we head out, quick reminder, subscribe to that Pop Culture Weekly newsletter at popcultureweekly.com. I've got a free gift for you if you do it. And I'll see you over on the Pop Culture Weekly YouTube channel at Pop Culture Weekly. I've got a ton of really cool, fun content coming up with some really amazing interviews over there. So, as always, I love you. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate you more than you know. And I want to know what movies you are looking forward to seeing this summer, and what you're not looking forward to seeing. And what are your predictions? Like, what are you predicting is going to bomb or be huge or whatever this summer? Join in on the conversation over on our socials. All right. Until next time, go watch something great or terrible. Sometimes terrible movies could be more fun. All right. I'll see you next time. I love you. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Summer movies making it rain. Ooh, summer movie nights. Come on, come on, come on.